Hello everybody and welcome along to the Circuit of the Americas for the finale of the Hankook 24-hour GT series and 24-hour TCE series. We're just outside of Austin and this is the last race of the Championship of the Continents. John Hindhaugh and Shea Adam in the booth for you as we bring sound and vision together on RS1 and the video as well on the usual spots, including at 24hseries.com. Two separate races, 8 classes and championships to be decided this weekend. The year so far, well, we started in Dubai back in January, worked through Silverstone, Navarra, Imola, Portimao, Barcelona and Spa-Francorchamps, rounding off the European Series where we crowned our European champions and the party was had there. But there'll be more champagne at the end of this weekend here at COTA as we are looking at the circuit here in late afternoon sunshine and the final round of the Championship of the Continents. As far as COTA itself, well, it's just on the outskirts of what is known to be a bit of a party city here in Austin, just south of the airport. Austin are famous for being weird. They like to celebrate their differences here. Street food, street art and great music, as well as a beautiful Capitol building at the end of South Congress. Steve Austin, the man who pulled all this together, is commemorated all round the town. The residents love life and they love living life to the max, and the part of the circuit or the philosophy of the circuit kind of pulls that together as well. And we're all live for qualifying here at COTA.
Down here in the pit lane, it is fabulous. It's a marvellous sunny late afternoon in the Texas sunshine, though in fact it's already in shade down that part of the pit lane. There's still some sun here, and we expect to have a very, very exciting 45-minute touring car element to the qualifying session, then a short break and another 45 minutes, this time with the GT cars. The cars are already, a couple of them trundled up to the petrol station just up there. There's a 3 or 4, if you look around here, separating to go 4, so quite a lot of the cars can get out early. 45 minutes is more than enough time, but they've not had a lot of track time. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of the cars are going to use this to pound some laps in before going for a first one. But we're going to find out exactly what's going to happen next 3 quarters now. And to talk you through, it's John Hindhaugh with Shea Adam, and my friend Joe Bradley's up there somewhere as well.
The cars rolling out onto the pit lane. 2 qualifying sessions then to come here, Shea, and therefore we'll be setting a couple of different class poles here. In fact, 3 class poles: TCR, SP3 and the Cup 1 category. There are 8 TCR cars. That is actually the most profligate here. 2 Cup 1s and SP3 has a couple of runners as well.
And it should be a fairly interesting qualifying session, strictly because not everybody was able to make the most of the practice session that we had coming into this qualifying. Now, there have been open tests both yesterday and this morning, so plenty of opportunity for drivers to figure out their way around the 20 corners of Circuit of the Americas. But there were a couple of teams that had some nagging issues coming into this session. Kyle Marcelli was the name in the GT4 category who managed to move his car further up the charts, but that car had a long time where it was still back in the garage. And one of these cars, and I can't see which one on the timing screen. Oh, it was the 555, the TFT Audi RS3. That one was a bit slow getting out for the practice session as well. In the last practice session, our time to beat was a 2 minutes 22.736. That was set by car number 152. Currently, it is driven by Seth Thomas as he takes the Sorg Rennsport Audi out onto the track. That is the goal, the benchmark to try and beat. We should be able to get that because track conditions, John, right now, much better than when we last left them.
A beautiful time of the afternoon. Sunset here local at 5:30, which is over an hour and a half away, but it will get very dark very quickly. Out onto the long back straight here. The track isn't exactly the same as last year. It is in terms of its layout, but some of the bumps are in different places, and the pyramid curbs through the S's and at one or two other places aren't quite as high as they were last year, so that might just tempt people into shaving a little more time from a little more distance from their lap times as well. The Lamera Cup car, number 238, Thierry Suave at the wheel, heading through now to turn 13, 14 and 15, the hairpin, as the 555 was the car laid out on parade. Bruno Bazard for TFT Top Block Racing. Two cars not seen yet. The Team Ultram Peugeot 908 has gone out. 308 has not come out of the pit lane yet.
No cause for alarm yet, though. It's a 45-minute session, so there's plenty of time for everybody to get out there, get a good feel. You could cycle all your drivers through. Some cars running 3 drivers, some with as many as 5. And the last car to announce their lineup was that number 555 Audi. So some of the drivers perhaps didn't even know they would be taking part in the race until earlier on in the week.
Fantastic lighting conditions here for any photographers, amateur or professional. The circuit has been swept and blown in between the sessions, although it has to be said that there's not a huge amount of pickup offline or marbles offline. What you can see running down the back straight is where the lighter parts of the tarmac is. It's where it's been just ground and shaved down. There's a couple of places further around the circuit, including on the exit of turn, or at the apex of turn 18, the third part, possibly fourth part, depending on which way you take it, of that long sweeping right-hander that comes just after the bridge and the hairpin, leading into turn 19, the downhill left-hander. That's the one where people have been getting pinged for track limits. We're not quite at that point yet, just coming through 13 and 14, and now into the hairpin at 15. The 555 just pulls through there, now starts to pick up pace, still trying to put some heat into the Hankook tyres under the bridge and into this long right-hander. Picking up pace now into the left-hander at 19, takes a bit of curb on the inside, but not dropping the wheels, inside wheels over the sausage curb, which you can do there. Brake at the just about where the line is, or maybe where the access road is from the right-hand side if you're not feeling quite as confident, and off onto a qualifying lap. Jan Engelbrecht in the Team Hyundai Denmark, and I30 TCR's got the best time so far with a 39.2, but that is going to be mangled, I'm sure. Oof. I expect to see something under 2 minutes 20 here, somewhere around about a good GT4 time, so that'll be a 17 or an 18 at the absolute outside for pole position. Down through turn 2, into the S's now, under the bridge, 5th gear, balance the car, try not to go on and off the throttle, picking up the left, the inside rear wheel, then the right-hand side. This is the 555, still really on it here for Bruno Bazard, as he now climbs the hill through 7, 8 and 9. Got to get this section right. You can get a huge amount of time. Turns in too early there and goes off the track. He might lose that lap. There. He was on the red stuff on the right-hand side. Way too early and too long. You need to be a bit later there before you cut back across to square off turn 9 and get the power on. He's already down the hill towards the braking area, to the entry to the back straight. Barely using the rear tyres at all here, Shea. Well,
at one point, one wasn't getting any use at all. The left rear completely off the ground as he turned in very early for 3, it looked like, and didn't do the traditional sacrifice 3 to get ready for 4.
Yeah.
He hit both of them, which is an interesting line for a TCR car.
Sorg Rennsport, Seth Thomas goes to the top 223.5. That's not going to be quick enough for Paul either. Guy Bessem in the NKPP Racing by Bas Kouten up into second with the Cupra. The 175 car, 223, so people getting up to pace at the same pace, if that makes any sense. The 555 then, with the fastest 2 sectors so far. Will he improve? Robin Friedrichsen in the Lestrup Racing Team Golf GTI goes up into third with a 24.3. This is going to be better than all of that. just the end of the long right-hander, and then 2 corners to go. The 555 Audi then, resplendent in its very bright green. Then the black and silver colours. It looks great in the evening sunshine, or at least the late afternoon sunshine. Nails the braking point. I think he was a bit early there on the brakes.
Yep.
Being a little bit conservative maybe, just wanting to get one good one in.
He had a big lockup coming into the base of the tower corner, but it's good enough. He goes to the top with a 22.1, which is the fastest time we've seen in an official session so far today. Is Bruno our equivalent to Tom O'Gorman? Is he able to get a quick lap out on his first try?
Yeah, absolutely. That is right there with the, sorry, I said the GT3 cars. I should have said the GT4 cars. That's exactly where he needs to be. Round about the 22s and 23s, and he's in the low 22s already.
And we've had our first instance of a time disallowed for track limits. That's at 19. And that was Seth Thomas in the Storg Rennsport Audi number 152. That's the car that was fastest earlier on. So clearly Seth is having to push to find that little bit of extra pace to try and get on the level of the TFT racing.
Meantime, Robin Fredriksson in the white, blue,
gorgeous,
and silver Golf. And we've had Golfs in the States, of course, racing in the IMSA Championships. What we don't get to see is the Cupras or the Peugeots. They're not allowed in the championship because they aren't represented by the manufacturer here. Third position for the number 110 Golf. In fact, he's just dropped down to 4th position. Bruno Bazard leads for TFT, Top Lock Racing. Provisional pole for that Audi. 2 minutes 22.1. Seth Thomas into second in the 152. Let's see if he gets to keep this one. 2:22.266. Then Gies Besson third for NKPP Racing by Baz Cowton. In the Cupra, Audi Cupra VW, Lamera Cup in 5th. Terry Suave is the best of the SP3 runners. Then the best of the Cup 1 cars is Michael Schrei in the Hoffa Racing powered by Bonk Motorsport BMW as Fredriksson goes to the top in that Golf.
What a great lap by Robin in that number 110 car. Now, the Golf and the Audi, basically the same car, but because there is no boot for the Volkswagen Golf, it weighs 25 kilos less when it comes out of the factory. Everything balanced out, obviously, to make the racing fair, but you've got that weight distribution difference, and clearly that works well for the Volkswagen around Circuit of the Americas. There's less of a travel as the 110 Golf, as he comes through, a right-hander lifts the right rear up off the ground. Stiff suspensions on these TCR cars being used so far. And the fastest of our SP3 cars, that was the number 238 of Thierry Suave, has had the time disallowed for track limits at 4, which means he went off going through the S's. That's an odd place.
Well, if you get out of kilter there, then you're not getting back easily.
Ooh. New fastest lap, Antti Burri, the champion from the European era of this championship, has gone to the top, a 1:21.1. That's the kind of lap time that I was expecting.
That's the fastest we've seen for a TCR car this week so far. Yep. Antti Burri then in the Baz Cowton, the LMS Racing by Baz Cowton Racing Cupra. Cupra, for those of you in the US who perhaps aren't familiar with that, that is the racing versions now of, or the sporting version now of Seat. So no longer is it a Seat Cupra. Cupra is a separate brand, rather as DS has become for Citroën, their prestige brand.
Or AMG for Mercedes?
Yes.
Similar?
Sort of, yeah. Same sort of thing.
And he's going faster, actually, trying to get the champions of the continents this weekend as well, making it 2 championships in the same year. Best way to get that kicked off is to put the car on pole, and that's exactly where the 129 is right now. 35 minutes, just under that, remaining in this session. There's time yet for others to come into the pits and perhaps put a new set of tires and a new driver behind the wheel, but that is a very strong time from Antti. Cor Euser has gone fastest in SP3, driving the number 71 BMW, representing his own team. Best time of a 2:23.302. That's not hanging about either for Cor. He's looking for a bit of redemption this year after he was sharing the car with the Ducatis last year, and they had a gearbox issue that turned into something a whole lot worse.
Here's another quick lap. This is going to be an improvement for Antti Burry. He's got the 2:21.1 at the moment, comes across the line now. We wait for a few moments, and 19.9. Now that is getting into GT4 category, isn't it?
That is
well into the pool, towards the pool, 18s and 19s. Very, very impressive by Antti Burry. These cars, of course, the TCR's running in TCR International spec here in America. We're used to seeing the IMSA cars turned down by 30 plus horsepower. Although I'm led to believe that that's not going to be the case next year in the championship,
where we will see two new manufacturers coming in the form of Honda
and Hyundai, yeah.
And Hyundai representing well here so far. We're looking for Jan Engelbrecht to come back out onto the racing circuit in that Hyundai, though. He's been in the pit lane for quite some time now, the number 30 machine. Should also mention that this is a split start tomorrow,
yes,
so we won't have to worry about the TCR cars catching up to perhaps slower SP4, SPX.
Yeah. Let's go down to Nick Damon in the pit lane.
And we've had our first flurry of visitors. It's been about 17 minutes after the actual qualifying started. Most of the cars went out, did a few laps, and they're now coming in. They're not giving up. They're coming in for a change of tyres, not drivers. 131 Bonk Motorsport car had a full set of tyres. The Hyundai you were talking about, the very pale blue 38 machine, that is having definitely fronts. I think the old fronts are going on the rear, which is a trick to get the temperature quickly. The 152, that is of course the Audi that comes in, crawling down and stops at its place. Very leisurely. You've got 45 minutes for a couple of runs. So they're just having a look, doing a tyre pressure check on the 152. And the noise you're going to hear to my right is the 238. That's the Lamera Cup car. That's crawling away. They're having a little look on the front right for an alignment issue. They're waggling that front right wheel, making sure it's all pointing in the right direction. And yeah, so well, as I say, we now just have the 152. When you came to me, you had 5 cars. Now it's just the 152 left in the pits, John.
Nick Damon down in the pit lane. Ultram Peugeot 306 looking to make a move. 308, excuse me, looking to make a move. Guillaume Romain for Team Ultram Peugeot, 6th position in TCR at the moment. Goes through turn 1 in the very distinctive coupe fresh colours. The matte black on the back of the car. There was a road car with dark red on the front and matte black on the back. Looked very, very impressive indeed. Down through the S's, under the bridge. Not taking enough curb there on the entrance to that. You need to really hammer the curb on the right-hand side and straighten it out. Being very, very respectful of the pyramid curves on the inside. Didn't even get his wheels on the red and white curves there.
Well, you know what they say about old habits and how they die hard? It was this car with 3 of the 4 drivers brought back this weekend in the form of Guillaume Romain, who's driving the car right now, Marc Guillot and Thierry Blas, who drove the car last year, to the win. And how did they do that? They stayed off the curbs, they kept the car clean, and they brought it home as the competition fell out.
Looks like the rear wheels have got so much camber in them, but they're barely touching the ground even when it's going straight. Never mind when it's tipped into the corners. Our friend and colleague Martin Haven, much beloved of touring car racing enthusiasts, always says the rear wheels on a front wheel drive touring car just there to keep the exhaust from dragging. He's off the power now in that car, Guillaume, as through goes the 129 of Antti Burry.
Wow.
Antti with 2:19.756 isn't on that pace this time around. Question for the guys in the pits for Nick and Joe Bradley is whether everybody's got to do times. This race last year, everybody had to do some laps within the qualifying time, and that was getting shorter and shorter because of problems, and actually caused a few teams, including the one that I was in with 4 drivers, a bit of sweat because one of our drivers literally got over the line to start his flying lap just as the checkered flag was about to come out. Now, is that the same this year? That everybody's got to go out, or can you just have one driver do the qualifying?
There's mandatory night driving that must be done.
Okay.
I'm not sure in the qualifying session if it's the same.
That was the weird situation that ended up with me having done the qualifying time rather by accident. Nick Dearman can add to this.
I haven't got the actual rules and regs in front of me, but given the fact that no one
Joe
is
Bradley
trying to
has.
change drivers.
Joe Bradley's got the rules and regs. Of course you have, Joe.
Yeah, you can just use one driver and you can use 4. It's up to you. There's no obligation to run out every driver within the session, so it's not. So
it's not as it was last year.
No.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Oh dear.
Yes, Nick.
Sorry, someone just clunked to my right. I thought they'd hit the tyres at line out, and they had to kind of come in slightly at an angle. As the Baz Cowton car, as the Anti-Bury, the leading machine, just clunked one of his tyres on the ground, which won't be a penalty as it would be in IMSA or IndyCar. The 129 car will just be kind of a long, hard stare from Baz, I expect, who, if you're lucky enough to see pictures, is at the front of the car at the moment.
He's taking off his yellow gilet, bright yellow gilet. The second of the Peugeots for the Altran team, the 908, has Jürgen Nett behind the wheel of that. Its best time last time around was a 2:26.1. Jürgen in 10th position.
He has his own Peugeot race team with his brother, does Jürgen, back in Germany, run the VLN. So he's very familiar with the car. Never been to Circuit of the Americas before.
Does he run a TCR there, or does he run
Yes.
something else? All right, okay.
They were the first people in Germany to receive a Peugeot TCR car.
It looks like that sister car is
Very slow.
either out of fuel or is trying to find a bit of space on the circuit. I reckon out of fuel. I'm going for the first one, because that's not even halfway down the back straight, and he's waving around from side to side, and he seems to be a bit of a worry for that Peugeot number 308, Guillaume Romain.
He didn't.
Guillaume Romain, actually, not Romain.
He didn't run out of fuel entirely going up the hill.
He has
and
now, I
he's
think.
coming to a stop.
He's got a long way to go, Shea. I reckon he's only halfway around.
Oh, hazards are on. Very heads-up driving.
He's on the driver's left, just on the first of the main rises on the back straight, I reckon. And I don't think that car's going any further.
Nope.
The team car's coming out of turn 1, heading down the hill to turn 2 and into the S's.
There is a cut in the guardrail not too far away from where he stopped. Perhaps he did that on purpose to try and get some outside assistance to usher the car back under
that's
local
better.
yellow.
Better through the S's for the team car. Still turning in a bit too early to 5. Needs to let that car run a little bit. But now he's through 6, 7, starting to climb the hill now. Got to drag it further across the left-hand side. He's coming in from the middle of the road there. That's compromising him. Needs all 4 wheels on the red stuff nearly before he turns in, as Joe Bradley has the answer on Team Ultran's other car, the 308. Yellow flag on the back straight for that car. That's exactly where it was between turn 11 and 12. Joe, what's the problem?
I've just looked across the desk at the control centre, and Cyrus Ayari, who's in the car this weekend. He's normally team manager, but he's doing both jobs, I think. And I just shouted, fuel? And he just shut his eyes, look of despondency, and shook his head in the positive. The car's out of fuel.
Oh, dear.
See,
oh, dear.
The cut is just behind the car. If they could figure out a way to roll it back there.
The problem now is you've got a yellow flag on the back straight. Nobody can improve on the back straight. You can't improve your time.
Well, and as you said, straights are an easy place to make up time because you can put your foot flat, and anybody can do that.
Anybody can put their foot flat.
Exactly.
Even me. Joe Bradley knows what it is to fill the car up with fuel when it goes out. You've never done that, Bradley, have you? Never, ever, 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 ever in the history of ever done that. I'll wait for him to turn his mic on.
I don't think he's going to.
It's just one of those things.
He's gone temporarily deaf and can't hear you. I am surprised that the number 151 at Soar Grand Sport BMW is so slow.
Another time lap for 152. That was good enough for second. Has been pushed back down. Seth Thomas, turn 19, track limits. And that pushes him down to 6th position in the Audi number 152.
Ooh, and that's his second time getting a call at turn 19. But yeah, the sister car, Simon Tibbett driving. He's a guy who's a motorsports coach at Atlanta Motorsport Park. He's no stranger to driving BMWs. He drove this car last year. Finished second in the 24 Hours of COTA last year. So that's a bit surprising, a bit worrying.
So we've got a circuit vehicle out on the back straight, the BMW 131 coming down to the end of the back straight, right in the toe. Seth Thomas looking maybe to try and get a little bit extra. speed down the back straight. The 152 goes through the Audi, the silver and red Audi, now into the twisty final section of the circuit. Lamera Cup number 238 back out on the circuit. That Nicolas Berraud in that car is the best of the SP3s and second in this session now, albeit by over a full second. Nick Damon is watching what's going on in the pits.
With 151, who Shay is wondering why it's not hitting the pace she expected. Well, they have decided to change drivers, and it's Ricardo Flores who's got in, and he's adjusting his gloves, adjusting his helmet. He's got himself a lovely new pair of front tyres and some nicer rear ones, and any second now he'll come out to give it another go.
I've just had a very interesting conversation with a driver that shall remain nameless for reasons that will become obvious in a second. He's very interested in whether anyone's being pinged for track limits. And the conversation was...
The answer is lots.
Some have and some haven't. But there are lots. And he said there's got to be at least a 1 second of lap time if you were able to use the track limits and keep the momentum of the car. And there's some parts of this track, and one part in particular, that where that 55 Audi, it just doesn't feel right when you keep the car within the confines of the track, does it?
Yeah.
It's the 555 Audi just went across the inside to line himself up for what's effectively the next two corners. And with that, when you don't do that, it feels so wrong. And so it's that kind of track, isn't it?
The best time at the moment, which is the 1:29 time, a 2:19.924. Ollie Kangas behind the wheel of LMS Racing by Baz Counton Cupra. That is under investigation at the moment. That would put the Lamera Cup car top of the shop. It has got the fastest Sector 1 time this time around by Nick Berraud, and he's bailed out of the lap.
What?
He's bailed out the lap. He didn't have a great middle sector, but 2:21.054 last time around is the best of the SP3 cars. Oyster, by the way, is the other car in that category, the 71 BMW M3, as the very pretty and beautifully proportioned Lamera Cup Coupe comes into the pit lane.
I wonder if the person, and of course we're not going to expose who it was, as we are halfway through this session, just a little bit beyond. I wonder if the person Joe was speaking with was perhaps North American, who has a great deal of experience around this track, because you can't help but feel that the guys who have gotten away with things in the past might be curious to see if they could continue getting away with them.
There are a few people around here who know their way around. There's plenty of places. I mean, we were talking about this earlier on. 19, if you're prepared to play fast and loose with the exit, you can gain yourself a lot of time there. Just one corner. There's a couple of other places coming out of 14, so 12, 13. Yeah, the little kink at 14 before you head into 15. You just drive straight across that. You put all four wheels off. And further back round the lap at 7, 8 and 9, I always like to be on the inside. In fact, so almost all four wheels off late through 8, and then you can square off 9 and really tear through there. Suppose you could make a bit of time up with 10 by just shortcutting the kink, but you unsettle the car too much there for that, and you can't stay flat, is what I've found. 175 back out on the track, and that is Harry Hilders in the Baz Counton NKPP racing car, sitting at the moment in 5th position in class.
And the car looks really settled, John. He's able to put it exactly where he aims it. There's no push. There's no extra sort of run from the car. It's just turn the steering wheel, point it in the right direction.
Fabulous colour scheme in this evening sunshine. It's catching the light beautifully. The bright red NKPP on the side with the
dark green.
Sort of, yeah, chrome green, isn't it?
Yeah.
The way it's reflecting the light this evening. It's a bit wide into 15. That makes him having to turn it back harder. I favour going up the inside there and making it a shorter distance, particularly for the front-wheel drive cars.
That's the line that Dindo Capello took when he gave me a lap around here in an Audi S3, though.
Back in the pit lane, the Altron Peugeot behind a Nissan V8 pickup truck, and Joe Bradley has some news for us.
No, just a little bit of a factoid on the Gis Bessem and Harry Hilders car that you were looking at there, the 175. Gis Bessem, Harry Hilders have competed in every single race that Creventic have organised ever in the history of ever.
Fantastic stuff.
a fantastic achievement.
It is. And Nick Damon is watching the Nissan pickup come in with the Ultran Peugeot. Could have put that in the back of there, couldn't you?
I think it probably would have fitted. It's been pulled in. There's a selection of people, I'm sure, looking embarrassed as to how the thing managed to run out of fuel. Whether they're actually, they may just, and they are, I think it looks like they're just going to push it up to the refueling bay. So they're going to push it in, get it some fuel, get the thing out and get a lap time in.
Cyrus Ayari listed in that car, but I think Joe said he was behind the mission control area.
308 ran out of fuel, so perhaps Cyrus, knowing that his car was only out of fuel, decided to drive the other one.
Correct. He's got in the 908. Thank you. It's Guillaume Roman in the 308 who's being pushed towards fuel.
Would it not have been easier to just send the Nissan out with perhaps an extra gallon of gas?
Like I said, I think you should just put him in the back.
Yeah.
Seth Thomas has gone in for fuel in the Zorgren Sport Audi as well. Here's how we stand with 18 minutes to go. Ollie Kangas in the pits in the Cupra TCR with the DSG gearbox, leading TCR, the 129 LMS Racing by Baz Coughton. That lap was being looked at, but we've heard no more since that came on the screen. So let's presume for the moment that that is a clean lap. I feel like I'm doing Forza again, getting adjudication coming in. Nicolas Barrault has gone back out in the Lamera Cup car, leading SP3, second in the times at the moment with a 2:21.0, 2:21.6 for the next of the TCRs, and it's the Volkswagen Golf. Robin Fredriksson in the Lestrup Racing Team 110. Kurt Oyser in fourth position as the best of... No, it's second best in SP3, of course, because the Lamera Cup is leading that one. The 71 BMW with a qualifying time so far, 2:21.7. 2:21.8 for TFT Top Lock Racing's Audi. Sebastian Morales behind the wheel of the 555, just starting his first fast lap. This is all very tight.
Yeah.
Barely tenths of a second between the guys down there. And in Cup 1, Michael Fisher for Hoffer Racing, powered by Bonk in the BMW, is the best. Big lock-up going into turn 1 by the 555.
Yeah. And Sebastian Morales, not the first driver in that Audi to fall afoul of locking a wheel, but good grief, he had everything locked on that.
It's interesting that, because of course you are allowed the ABS systems on the endurance pack on these cars. I wonder if either he's got it turned off or whether that car doesn't have it or it's malfunctioning. Doesn't mean you can't lock the wheels, but just make it rather difficult.
And that's the second of 3 drivers that we've seen cause issue in that car.
Sounds to me that they might have an ABS problem.
Yeah. Still 5th overall right now, 3rd in the class, as Kurt Oyser has dragged the other SP3 car up to 4th. Good lap from Kurt. As we are starting to get a bit more serious, a third of the session is all that's left.
16 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Joe Bradley watching tyre changes is still... drivers and teams, Joe, must think there's a little time left out there.
Well, certainly the driver of the number 175, that's the NKPP Bas Coughton car that you were mentioning. They've come in, they've put brand new tyres on the front of that car, of course. That's where all the performance comes in these TCR cars. It's Harry Hilders in the car. So Harry, come in, he's asked for new rubber, so he thinks there's a little bit more time in there, in himself at least.
Coming into the pit lane for a new set of Hankooks. I think he's got 4 flat-spotted ones. Is the 555 of Sebastian Morales. Meantime, in the S's, a big sideways moment for, was that the 152 Zorgren Sport car? And Seth Thomas, yes, it is the silver and red Audi glinting in the evening sunshine.
Ooh.
And he got turn 3 very wrong indeed. Tried to take a little bit, turn 4, excuse me, tried to take a little bit too much through there. Got the back end of the car coming round and had to lift out of it. He did a pretty good job, Shea, to keep it on. And this is where you can gain time. He's lovely through turn 3.
Ideal.
Turn 4, he's...
curb.
Yeah, he straddled the curb, and that put him at the the pyramid curve, and that put him completely wrong for turn 4. He thought about going straight on there for a moment, didn't he?
Yep, that's when the panic starts to set in, and you think, I can go straight. Oh, no, I can't. There's grass, and then there's a wall, and I will hit that, and my team will be very upset at me. So for that number 152 car, more speed out there. But Seth, again, a guy who I'm a little bit surprised that car is further down the charts, but with 2 warnings of being off track at turn 19. He still doesn't have the first part of the track completely figured out, though, John. He's still taking interesting lines.
He is taking the Hindhoff line through, what's that, 13, 14 there, all the way. When I say touring car across a curb, I mean all 4 wheels across a flat curb. Like as it wasn't there, trace a straight line through it. And at 14, you can do that rather easily. Comes into turn 19, the 152 now, building up for another quick lap down the hill. It's just a little bit of a descent. Brakes just about spot on where that gravel road comes in from the right-hand side, which is the very earliest you want to be braking there. 1 or 2 of the better drivers will go a tiny bit deeper. There's a white line, the safety car line, that you can use as well there. Stays all the way to the right-hand side, doesn't favour the early turn in. Turn 1, pick a line, any line, to be quite honest there.
They all work.
They all pretty much do work. So long as you can drag the car across to the middle, to the left-hand side of the road for turn 2 at the bottom of the hill.
The Sorg Rensport car was really loose at the back, though. They must have listened to you, John, and in between the brake made it have a little bit more oversteer.
I think part of that was trying to overcome the laws of physics by their driver there. Eventually, the pendulum effect will take over.
Unless you have SVG in your car.
Unless you have what?
SVG.
Oh, yes, of
He
course.
doesn't obey physics.
Shane van Gisbergen and physics, 2 things that don't necessarily agree with each other.
No.
555 is in the pits getting a new set of tyres for Sebastian Morales.
Ooh, a move on the timing screen for the number
Yes.
110, Robin Fredrickson for the Lestrup Racing, the Volkswagen Golf GTI, up to second. He is 1 second off the pace of that number 129 car that, remember, the lap was under investigation.
I think that must have been ticked off by now because we haven't seen anything else. Seth Thomas back out for Sorg Rensport. 7th position for that car at the moment.
1, 2, 3.
131 looks like it's going back into the garage for Michael Fisher.
6 cars on track.
Nick Damon.
Yeah, it's interesting. There are only a couple of cars who aren't running. The 131, as you see, is about to get rolled back in. That's the Hoffer Racing car, the car that's leading the championship. Behind us, the car in first.
In fairness, that is pole position in its class, Nick.
Done it, parked it,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
And
Don't
also
bring
pole
us.
position in its class, and pole position overall in the TC class is the 129. That's been sitting there for a while. Everyone else is still coming in and going out. So much so that there's a whole set of new tyres waiting for the 238 Limera car. So they are making the most of every half minute and still going for it. So whether as the track cools down, it's actually getting slightly quicker with the thicker air. I'm not sure.
Well, if I was the guys at Limera, I wouldn't be bringing in Nicholas Barrault in because he's just got a second share.
Yeah, he did, and now he is
the
only
110 of Fredrickson.
He's half of a thousandth away from the fastest time of the session. So very, very good speed from that Limera Cup car in SP3.
Yeah, that could be a car to watch. I do like the shape of that car. And it's again, everyone, with this being an overnight race, everyone is working really hard. You can see it in this late afternoon sunshine, working really hard to make the colours pop as far as the wraps and the colours on the cars are concerned. 110, Robin Fredrickson coming to the end of the lap now through 16, 17 and 18 in that Golf GTI. Needs to find a second to bother the LMS Racing by Baz Cowton Cupra car as he comes through turn 19 now. Oh, he's on a good one.
He is.
Stay with us here for a moment, then I'll go to Nick Damon in the pit lane. This is personal best all the way through so far as he comes through to the final turn, and out of it, he did a 220.9 last time around. Has he improved? He has not, but there is a 220.5 for that car. Nick Damon.
And the pole sitter, the 129 Baskuten car, has
provisional love.
Provisional pole. It's pole sitting at the moment. They've gone out again because the Limera Cup got within half a thousand. They got out, but more importantly, they got Ollie Kangas out and put Antti Burley back in again with a new set of tyres.
Oh, hello.
They obviously want this TCE pole.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public service announcement. Please stand well back from the edge of the circuit. Andy Burry going for another quick one then. He's in fuel at the moment. No, he's gone straight out onto the circuit. So keep an eye open for the 129. Already on his warm-up lap. Caught Oyser in the pit lane in the second SP3 category. As at the top, the Lamera Cup has taken that time. So the 129 has got out just at the right moment. 9.5 minutes to go, and they've lost that provisional pole in the TCE series. Now, this is really important, remember, because the Lamera Cup team are right there, only 2 points away from the overall team's championship lead in this final round of the Championship of the Continents. They are on 54 points. Hoffa Racing, powered by Bonk Motorsport, the 131 car, on 56. CWS Engineering, not here, on 51, won't improve. And then it's the two Peugeots, 908 on 44 and 308 on 43. So this is a really, really impressive run by Nicolas Perrault in the Lamera Cup Coupe. Beautiful looking thing with the big red star on it here. Very appropriate for here in Texas. Not sure if that was a decision made just for this race.
Hey, Lone Star State, you got to represent where you can. That's not going to be a faster lap, as the 238 was blocked coming out of the hairpin unintentionally, it's fair to say, but a half a second near enough gap now between first and second. In terms of the Champion of the Continent's Drivers' Championship, Antti Burry now has to go back to reclaim the pride. He comes into the weekend on 57 points, tied with his co-driver Larksonen, but it is Burrow who is 3 points back. So the car on pole right now, 3-point deficit in the championship for the drivers, looking to try and gain any position possible.
That was Benito Tegel in the Zork Rennsport BMW, who nearly had a Lamera Cup-shaped bump in the back of his car, as Nicolas Perrault will not improve this time around. He's in the final sector, but coming through to start a flying lap. Here comes Antti Burry across the line. The distinctive blue marker light right underneath the Cupra, the new Cupra sign on the front, badge on the front of that car. Into turn one, brakes round about 150, turns the car in, just the trailing rear wheel locking up as it was dangling in the air, runs out over the curbing, now down the hill, turns it into turn two, sets himself up, gets the car settled down before he coaxes it into three. Oh, lovely line through 3 and 4. He hits that big curb on the inside. 3, 4 and 5 absolutely nailed there. Stays in the middle of the road, down one gear, turn into the right hand side, and then flick it left into turn 7. Went through 6 like it wasn't there. Now he's coming up to 8 and 9. He's on the inside, using that curb to help him rotate the car. He was a little bit late into 9 and runs wide, but that'll give him a nice run down through 10. Doesn't take too much curb there, so as not to unsettle the car. Now into the braking area before the back straight. The nose of the Cupra dives down as he turns in left-handed, down through the gearbox, probably second or third, depending on how it's geared now. Take a breath and just keep pulling the gears with your right hand. Watch for that little blue shift light. Once you get to the second one, shift the gear. He knows he's on a good lap here. Antti Burry, he's not done his best first sector, but he's building up here. Getting into the groove, on the brakes again for turn 12 at the end of the back straight. Diamonds off that corner. Doesn't drag the car too quickly back to the left-hand side. That suggests to me he's not trying too hard at the moment. Right rear in the air so long it stopped turning, and he didn't nail the corner after that at all. So he's bailed out of this one, and now he's just going to get to the end of the lap and make sure he's got heat in both the front and the rear Hankooks.
That was an impressive start to the lap, though, and even though the Sector 1 and Sector 2 were not overall best, they were not personal best, but they were still really good.
Harry Hilders is on a quick one in the 175, the other one of the other Baz Counting racing cars. That is the NKPP car. 4th position at the moment. 175 has lost the lap time for exceeding track limits at 20 as Burry comes across the line to start another one. That's the car I was talking about. But Hilders is on another quick one, and Antti Burry has just put in the fastest third sector of anyone coming to the line here. So now, can he get the run through the S's perfectly right again? Down through turn 1, into turn 2, comes from the middle of the road. I like the look of this. He's looking very, very confident indeed. As he heads under the hill, under the bridge rather, straightens the car up in between the segments of the S's, lets the car settle. That's the essence of getting it right. Maybe a tiny little bit wide, coming through 6, but he drags it back to the apex. Now sets it up for 7, goes across the inside of the curb, now heads into the middle of the road, and then oh no, he stayed over to the right hand side there and just hooked the curb right on the red part of the circuit.
That worked though. That was a very clean line through the end of the S's.
And it's his best first sector. And the car now down in the braking area for turn number 11. The team are looking very interestedly, as is Nick Damon, on the times on the screen. Out of the 11th corner and onto the back straight. Once again, just time. Oh, he's got traffic. He's got traffic ahead, and he's got to be thinking, don't get in my way, don't get in my way. I know I'm on a good one. Comes to the end of sector 2 after the next couple of corners. Nails the braking point just before the set of 3 cones. That's just between 200 and 150 markers on the side, which is what he'll be using, because those cones might not be there through the race.
The Raver Hankook not being used at all.
He doesn't cut the corner there. He doesn't favour that line as he comes through into 15, which is the hairpin. Getting the back end just to move a little bit to help him rotate the car. Now into the long quad pressure corner. Miss the first apex, get the Verstappen apex, miss the third and get the fourth. That's the quick way for a front wheel drive car through there, and that's exactly what Antti Burry does. He's on a good one here. He's had another decent sector and he hasn't been held up by the car ahead of him so far as he comes through 19, down the hill to 20, just a little tap on the brakes. He was super late on the brakes there. There was a little confidence tap just to make sure that the pads were there as he comes through. Did that with his left foot, of course. Does he improve to... No, 2:19.747 his best, 2:19.950. But if he puts his best sectors together, there's a 19.3 in there, which would be good enough for pole position. He's just gone past Antoine Lacoste in the Audi from TFT Top Lock Racing, and Burry still building up. It looks like to me, Shea, that these Hankook tyres are good for at least a couple or 3, maybe even 4 fast laps. He's through the S's again, and once again looks confident over those pyramid curbs on both turns 3 and 4.
It's fantastic. There's no sort of drop-off that we're seeing in terms of the sector times. And even though Burry has not been able to improve his time, he has been able to improve his sectors. So clearly, figuring out the track, it's impressive when you think about it. This is his first time to Circuit the Americas. He's out there trying to fight against people who raced a 24-hour race here last year.
He's improved his first sector time again, Shea, sorry.
That's all right. They've got the track experience. He's got the speed, and that's what he's showing right now.
Like, I just think he's losing a bit of time in 7, 8 and 9 because he's, as he comes through 7, he's staying to the right-hand side of the road. And I'm not sure that's the best way through there, particularly for the front-wheel drive car. He scrubs off a lot of speed up the hill. Lamera Cup on provisional pole. Nicolas Barrault, that looked like they were ready to bring him in a little while ago, and they haven't done so yet. Just over 90, under 90 seconds to go before the checkered flag will come out. As in any other form of racing, the lap that you're on will count. So if you get through and the checkered flag comes out, it's all right. Here comes Burry. He'll get this one, and no, he'll get this one and one more, and that will be it. That will be it. 1 minute to go. He's in 16, 17, 18 now, that long right-hander.
The Lamera Cup car will not get another lap, though, because they still have not put up a time for Sector 2. And with 45 seconds to go, this is going to be it.
So if Burry steals it now, he really does steal it. But I don't think he's going to, but he'll have to. He'll get one more. He's pitting. He's pitting.
He's pitting.
He's giving it up. He's taken the best out of the Hankooks, and it looks very much to me, with Fredriksson in 3rd position and Hilders in 4th, that the Lamera Cup SP3 car is going to be on pole position. Time is about to expire, and he's at turn 15 at the hairpin. 10 seconds to go. They're celebrating already down at Lamera Cup. Nick Damon is watching them, and I can't see there's anyone else that is going to better that time. Nick Damon.
And coming to my feet actually is the car that's come second, the 129, the Anti-Bury Bas Couten Racing machine. He gave it his all, the LMS machine. He's given it his all, but that was not enough. And we'll speak to Anti in a minute anyway, because they are, you know, they're still top of their shot. They're still top of TCR, by far the most competitive account, and they've done that by a second and a half in the Cupra. I'm still quite odd seeing that new logo, John, which is of course the Cupra, not the Seat Cupra. Yeah. It's kind of sort of weird, sort of pointy, sort of looks like a sort of a nunchuck of the future.
Yeah, it's a sort of an animal skull type of thing, which I really rather like. Pole sitters then. Michael Fisher in the pit lane for Hoffa, powered by Bonk's M235 BMW. That's Cup 1, and that is the 131 car. In TCR, it is Anti-Bury in the LMS Racing by Bas Couten Racing Cupra, and top of the shop in SP3 and in that session. So in the TCE Champion of the Continent Series category here, remember, two completely separate races. Nicolas Barrault for Le Maire Cup in that beautiful car. Nick?
Just going to try and grab a quick word with Anti-Bury. We still haven't got the 238 car in there. Just hop in with Anti. Just getting the congratulations. Well, the good news is you're pole of TCR. The not so good news is you weren't pole overall.
Yeah, it's slightly disappointment. I think it was a close call, but not today.
You really seemed to have the car hooked up in the first sector, but you just couldn't gain in the second sector.
Yeah, I was maybe pushing too hard, and it's a quite tricky sector, so yeah, we'll see later on the data.
All your best sectors put together were good enough for pole, but I suppose it's hard to do the perfect lap.
I think only put the better second sectors, so combination with us, yeah, we go.
Just need two drivers at the same time then?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the TCR pole. Tried to avoid being run over by his teammate, the Hilda's car. And we will wait for the arrival of the 238 and the excitement to find out whether Nicolas Barrault can speak English.
Oh, I can't wait. I've always find that brilliant. Meantime, if Joe can grab the Cup 1 pole sitter, that'd be great as well. Nicolas Barrault about to peel into the pit lane as he pulls across to the left-hand side now. Oh no, sorry, he's
no, he's still a bit further back.
Yeah, he's much further back than I thought. I thought he was coming. So 238 coming down to the anti-penultimate, out of the anti-penultimate corner now, and through 19 he'll peel off to the left-hand side. Coupe that has looks of rather like the old, do you remember the MG X-Power with the Quale Mangusta styling and the Cobra Mustang engine? It looks, there's a bit of Puma at the back. The slightly sort of Puma-ish rear end as it comes in, but I do like the proportions of this racing coupe, the Le Maire Cup. In the pit lane now with its yellow marker lights coming down towards Nick Damon and a team, Nick, that were very, very excited to have captured pole position by 2.5 tenths of a second.
I think in colloquial terms, they were chuffed to bits. They were jumping up and down all the various... Oh, a guard of honour. They've managed to get the teammate car, which of course is in a different class, the 60 Le Maire Cup machine. That's gone by, and they're pushing back Nicolas now. And he gets out the car. It's an all-French engine. The Le Maire Cup, of course, has its own separate one-make series running in France, and then they normally run, I think, for about an hour, don't they? And these have been converted into run a bit longer. Good old-fashioned, well, not old-fashioned, good old five-cylinder Ford engine in the back of it. Different states of tune, which is why we have its teammate in a faster class. It has a higher state of tune, the engine. And we saw these cars going particularly well.
So that's a Focus RS engine in the back of there, is it? The straight 5.
That's right, and it's in a different state of tune for the two cars. So I think it's quite easy with any car with a big old turbo. You can easily find another 80 horsepower with a bit of remapping. So a very, very happy Mr. Bernard. Barrault, yes, I do get Bernard for it. It was Timo Bernard, yeah. The Barrault. We're excited now. He's about to take his helmet off. Let's see what happens,
While
shall
we're
we?
waiting for that, Nick, let's go to Joe Bradley for a quick word with one of the other pole sitters.
Yeah, it's a Cup 1 pole sitter, Michael Schreier. He's been out of this session for quite a while, sat on the wall with his engineer. So he obviously went out. Michael, you put the car. You've been sat here for ages, haven't you? So you went out, put the time in. Was that it?
No, it was Michael Schreier.
Ah, that's Michael. Sorry. I thought that was Michael. Michael, tell us. You're on the pole position for Cup 1. The team is in a chance for a championship. But how much are you thinking about that at this point?
Yeah, we had a good preparation. We had good practices, 3 practices, and had a good qualifying with good times. And I think we are in a good position now for the race and also for the championship.
The rear-wheel drive BMW, it suits COTA?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the BMW is a good car. I hope it's really, it will prove that it's will last over the distance. I hope that it's going to happen, and we know the car exactly, the drivers and the team, and so I think, we are in a good preparation.
Thanks, Michael. Congratulations. Let's have a word with our SP3 pole sitter now.
Nicholas, that was a superb performance by you and the car.
Yes. On a fait beaucoup de travail toute la journée parce qu'on ne connaît pas du tout ici, évidemment. C'est la première fois qu'on vient. Donc là, sur la toute dernière, on a changé un réglage au tout dernier moment et on a été la chercher.
So we've been walking all day long, like trying to find the right setup, because this is first time. We've never been here before, so it was more like trying to find the right setup. And just before qualification, we find the right setup for it and just went for it. So yeah, we're very happy, very happy.
And do you like COTA? Do you like the track?
Ah oui, ouais, c'est super. Oui, c'est évidemment very good track, super, fantastic.
Fantastic. Well done. Thank you indeed.
Oh, great stuff. I was really hoping Nick was going to try a bit of French there. Let's confirm then that the Lamera Cup car is on pole position for SP3 and for the TCE part of the 24 hours of COTA here at the Circuit of the Americas. On pole position for TCR, Bascountain Racing, the LMS racing car in second will start alongside. And remember, there will be a gap between the two parts of the races. Lestrup Racing and NKPP make up the top 3 in TCR. Oyster Racing the second of the SP3 classes before another 4 TCR cars, and rounding up the top 10 is our Cup 1 pole sitter, the BMW from Hoffa Racing, powered by Bonk Motorsport, looking at championship. I'm absolutely certain. The Ultran Peugeot and the Zog Rennsport 908 and 151 just outside the top 10 after qualifying for the TCE part of the race. I think that was a bit of an upset in some respects here, don't you?
Yeah, well, the TCR team certainly weren't expecting an SP3 car to go faster than them, given what we saw in the practice sessions. For that to come out in the qualifying will be a rude awakening. But it was a lovely warm-up for what is still to come.
Remember, not the 908 in 11th position, but their team car further up could have been better qualified, I think, but they ran out of fuel during the session, and they'll be kicking themselves for that.
The good news is it's a long race, and it's not where you start, it's where you finish. So for the 908, there is still hope.
Well, yes, hope springs eternal.
Yep.
So 12 cars out there providing plenty of action. Coming up next, we have the GT qualifying. I'll try and make that a single word. Qualifying for the Circuit of the Americas Hankook 24 hours here at COTA. Shea Adam and John Hindorf with you in the booth. It's Joe Bradley and Nick Damon down in the pit lane. And coming up next, another 45-minute session. One or two hardy spectators have climbed the 16,427 stairs to the... I made that number up.
I was going to say.
To the top of the tower here. The lift is still not working on that.
It's worth every step, though, because when you get to the top of that tower, you can see the full track, and it's where the spotters go for a reason.
So welcome to COTA and the Circuit of the Americas, just south of Austin Airport. And we're getting ready to go qualifying for the GT categories. A6 Pro and AM, SP2, and the 991 Cup cars as well. Let's head down to the pit lane and to Joe Bradley.
It's absolutely perfect conditions here at COTA. The sun just beginning to disappear behind the grandstand. The air temperature's perfect for the engines. The air is cool. The engines love that. They love the thick air. Track temperature, almost perfect tyre conditions. And we're going to have we've just had an outstanding TCE qualifier. The GT race just had the green flag and the cars are heading out on track. Let's hand back to John and Shay in the studio to take in all the action. It's going to be a good one.
Well, 45 minutes on the clock when we started this one. Just about a minute has gone. Where's your money going here, Shay? The Mercedes looked very, very strong in that first free practice session earlier on this afternoon that we covered in audio only.
Yes, but which one? Which team do you even throw the dart at? That's the part that really stoops me.
I like the look of what Adam Christodoulou was doing. He attacked the track, but did it in a way that he kept all four wheels on the circuit. He's not been here before. Maybe he can still find a little bit more time in that car, in the Pro Sport car.
But how do you bet against Jerome Blakemollen and Ben Keating, seeing what they have done here in the past, knowing that they came into this race last year?
Well, Yelmer Berman's no mug in the other Black Falcon, and that's the 2 and 3 Black Falcon we're talking about there.
Very, very true, yeah. Both of those cars with strong drivers. The 3, which is the car that doesn't have Keating and Blakemollen in it, and Lucas Stoltz, they're sharing with Hubert Haupt in the number 2. The number 3 has 3 guys in it who call Circuit of the Americas home. Not literally, they don't live here, but this is the track where they come to cut their teeth.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to acknowledge that car from a hometown advantage. You've got the Audi from the Car Collection Motorsport, the number 34. They were 3rd last year in the race. All 4 of their drivers know which way the circuit goes. They're going to be strong in qualifying. And then you've got Nick's perennial team when it comes to a 24-hour Creventic race. Herberth is going to be in there for the win. Can they string together a pole position in that number 911 Porsche?
And it is Alfred Renard who's taken that car out. Let me give you some of the qualifying drivers in this early part. You can change drivers if you want to. David Ducote will be in the Rentec Mercedes number 890. Marvin Kirchhofer for R Motorsport in the gloriously sounding V12 Aston Martin V8 Vantage. Kurt Swearingen is the classic BMW M4 GT4 driver, the 272. Tommy Lagerson in Perfection Racing Europe's Ginetta. Glad to see that car is back out. Lucas Stoltz goes through to start his lap for Black Falcon. It'll be Frank Mayer in the Scuderia Cameron Glickenhaus SCG 003C. Don't count them out either, by the way. That's a very fast car, particularly over a single lap. They have taken pole at the Nordschleife before. Jose Close in the 58 VDS Racing Adventure Mark Focus V8. Could an SP2 car spring a surprise? Possible, absolutely possible. Now, Adam Christodoulou is in the 85 Pro Sport car. Lucas Stoltz in the 2. Who's in the 3? Mike Skeen in the 3 for Black Falcon.
Good call.
That's very interesting.
Mike Skeen is somebody who I would want to put in my car. It doesn't matter what it is, if you're racing at Circuit of the Americas.
Lucas Stoltz goes onto the back straight on his fast lap in the dark green Black Falcon. A little bit of sparkle in that car in this evening sunlight. He's got one of the Glickenhaus behind him as well, the SCG 003s.
Interesting that Luca is given the qualifying duties so early on when you've got guys like Jerome and Ben still to come, and Hubert Haupt, a guy who was fastest in the practice session earlier on.
Car looks fantastic,
It
as
does.
ever, turned out beautifully. The Black Falcon team even have their transport crates, their containers in the back of the paddock, all liveried up and with their logos on them. They don't just trust their cars to anyone. They have their own custom fitted transport containers. The shipping organised for all the teams by Creventic. You get them to various points if you're in Europe, and then they're brought across. But one or two of the teams do have their own shipping containers. Black Falcon, as I say, among them. So through 19 for Lucas Stoltz then. The man most likely, though, at the moment is Antonin Borger.
Wow.
In the 24 Mercedes. He's got the 2 fastest sectors at the moment, and he's already put in a 2:19.7. Hang on, 2:11 for Stoltz. Mayer goes through in the SCG 2:11.2, separated by 0.1. Check that, 0.010 of a second. And it's Frank Mayer who holds sway early on. Still only 5 minutes gone. Mayer then in the Glickenhaus SCG 003, the number 49 car. That's the pro car. That's the white machine. He's in the S's at the moment. My goodness, that car looks purposeful. Looks a handful as well as it's twisting and turning.
There's Christodoulou, and it goes to the top of the charts, purple sector 1, but he doesn't stay there for long because Antonin Borga displaces him. The SPS Automotive Performance Mercedes goes to the top, so that's AM, both Mercedes, and then the SCG, the first of our pro cars, in third.
Borga, third gear. Holds third through two, now switches up to fourth, coming into the S's. Does he get fifth gear? No, he holds it in fourth. He's got traffic ahead of him. The number 24 BMW. Also in there is Mike Headland for HB Racing. He's not far behind there. The blue Mercedes having to go past traffic. The 272 classic BMW, that's BMW M4 GT4 classic BMW, the name of the entrant, by the way. That's not an old BMW, that's a brand new BMW M4. And Mike Headland really badly held up there by Kurt Swearingen, and Mike will have lost time in the middle sector there. But what a great lap by Antonin Borga.
And we have a new purple sector 1 time, and it is the Aston Martin. It's Marvin Kirchhofer who goes quickest through the first sector. Now, he's still down in the 8th position, but that is the fastest car so far this weekend, and the test did a 2:07.3.
Two AM-class Mercedes lead the Pro-class Scuderia Cameron Glickenhaus SCG 003 of Frank Mayer. By the way, in the other car, the other of the Scuderia Cameron cars, where's that car?
The Lightspeed car.
The Lightspeed car, as Mayer goes to the top. Check that. Whilst I was thinking about that, Mayer has put in a faster time again, and we're now down to the low 208s, half a second. So 208.172 now. The Lightspeed racing cars, Jeff Westphal in that car and has not gone back out. That was what I was trying to get out. But Christophe Bouchou in the Lamera Cup SP2 car leads his class. 991, Fred Podad in the Wright Motorsports number 91 Porsche. That's the white and orange car out on the circuit. That's another class leader at the moment. And Russell Ward with a 19.4 is the best of the GT4s in the 84 Winward Racing HTP Mercedes.
That's 3 seconds off of what we saw him do in the final practice session, John. So there's more speed to be found in the GT4 entrance.
Kirchhofer's going to go to provisional pole here if he gets a decent run in the final sector in the Aston.
No, it's Borga who goes back to the top first with the 208 flat.
Where's the... There he goes! Our Motorsport in the Aston Martin. 206.713 for the Aston Martin. And Mike Skeen goes through in the number 2 Black Falcon and just fails to take provisional pole position for the Hankook 24H COTA. 0.015 of a second between the top two. Aston Martin leads Mercedes-Benz.
And Borga's not done either. He goes through with the fastest Sector 1 time of anyone, but Marvin in the Aston Martin decides to go a little bit faster and take that away.
He's going to be quick through that first sector. He's got a huge rear wing on that Aston Martin, set up really high.
My gosh.
The Aston Martin St. Gallen car, as he flicks it through turn 9, he's right in behind the 890 the 890 David Ducati Rentec Mercedes, and that might just have slowed him down a little bit. As through goes the number 3 of Mike Skeen, trying to improve. Marvin Kirchhofer had a brilliant first sector, but he's bailed out of it now. And he knows that he's not going to get the lap because he was caught in behind David Ducati. David doing absolutely nothing wrong in the black and red number 890, by the way. But whilst that was happening, Mike Skeen has nipped through in terms of his track position ahead of both David Ducati and Marvin Kirchhofer.
Mike Skeen, also known as the Ginger Ninja. He's a very tall man and he's hard to miss, but man, is he good on a racetrack. And he is a Texan. He's raced for Lone Star Racing, based right here in Austin. He knows this circuit. He started driving laps of Circuit of the Americas before it was open to the public.
Change in the 991 provisional pole. Trenton Estep for JDX Racing in the battle of the two IMSA teams have got ahead of Fred Portad for Wright Motorsport. Trenton Estep with a very quick 2:13.438 in a 991 Cup car. 2:13.438. I'm seeing it on the screen. I'm not quite believing that at the moment, but that is an outstanding time I'm reading the right line there, Shay, aren't I?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you
That's
are.
5 seconds quicker than the GT4 pole-sitting Russell Ward.
You should not have given him back the car keys at the Porsche banquet, John, when you were
right.
handing over keys to a young man for a Porsche. Clearly, he's only figured out how to go faster behind the wheel of the Stuttgart machinery. Good grief, Trenton Estep.
That is the 74 gold and black, not silver and black. It would have been far more interest to share had it been in the Raiders colours. But
Oh, I love
gold
it
and
in
black.
the Hertz colors too, with the Estep that livery's been running all year long.
Actually, no Hertz signage on it, even though it's
No.
in the Hertz colour scheme this weekend.
It's got the buyer's stickers on it still that it had all year in the IMSA series. If it worked for Estep there, he's certainly not going to take it off now.
So, provisional pole position for that number 74 car as through he goes again. S-step 2:13.170. That was another fast lap for him last time around. 2:13, and Russell Ward's improved in GT4 to a 17.4 and remains on provisional pole position. Kirchhoffer, though, for Aston Martin in the AM class with a 2:06.713. Westphal in Lightspeed Racing's AM Glickenhaus, the SCG003, up to 3rd position with a 2:07.
That's
Top
better.
3 now within half a second.
That's more what we were expecting from Jeff Westphal, to man who put it on the overall pole position for the N24.
Let's take a on-board lap with SPS and Antonin Borga currently in 4th position across the start-finish line. Look to the right-hand side for your brake marker. Turn in. There's a little post on the top as our Motorsports Kirchhoff is going even quicker. Top of the hill now, dropping down into turn 2. You can use a little bit of the curb there, but not too much. From the middle of the road is fine. Into turn 3, take the curb, left, right, all in one gear. Now take a downshift before you come to turn 6. Balance the car. The car wants to push wide there, but drag it to the right-hand side. From the left-hand side of the road, you want to be to turn number 8 now. He's gone from the middle again. Get it onto the red stuff on the right-hand side, then square off turn 9. Oh, right over the curb on turn 9, and he's run too wide there. He'll have to pull it back for the king at turn 10. Down through the bottom of the dip. Look for your braking marker. Turn in. Well, he's got all the way down to 1st there. I'm rather surprised at that. I thought he might have taken that in 2nd. On the back straight with the sun right in your eyes. Antonin Borga for SPS Automotive. Check the gauges. Just maybe flex your shoulders a little bit. 5th. Does he get into 6th gear? He doesn't on the back straight. Now look for your braking and downshift into the 2nd set of cones there. He's braked very late indeed, but gets a little bit of a slide on, but somehow gets it back. Through 12 into 13, trail brake into this one. Get the wheels right on the right-hand side, otherwise it won't turn. Now, touring car across the next one. Straight line towards the exit where the safety vehicles come out, and then pull it back to turn 15. 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Hold the car in 3rd as you miss the first apex of the long right-hander. Take the Verstappen apex. Let the car drift now. Pull it back to the right-hand side over the bump. Got a little bit wide there as well, but he's kept good speed up through turn 19. Oh, he was fighting it there on the brakes. Car didn't want to turn in to the left-hander. Down to the final corner. How can he see where to brake with the sun right in his eyes? But somehow he smells the right place. Over the rumble strips on the external part of turn 20, and that was good enough for an improvement, and 3rd position for Antonin Borga in the 24 Mercedes.
While we were going through that lap, thank you, John, for the assist, Daniel Alleman had his time disallowed, moving the number 911 Porsche back down to 10th for track limits at turn 12, which is at the end of the back straight. That's an interesting place to get it wrong. Yep. But we have an even faster lap from the Aston Martin. So Porsche starts to falter a little bit. Aston Martin rears up even more. Purple sector 1 time, purple sector 2. And right now he is somewhere out there in sector 3 is Martin Kirchhoffer.
Kirchhoffer coming back to the line in that R Motorsport Aston Martin. Meantime, into the pit lane, Mike Skeen has just dropped in for Black Falcon. There goes Kirchhoffer. Doesn't improve in sector 3.
But he does improve the time, and instead of there being 15 thousandths of a second between 1st and 2nd, it's now out to 2/10. So a bit of breathing room for the Aston Martin. We are just under 30 minutes to go in this qualifying for our GT cars. Bring your guys in, put put some new Hankooks on, maybe send out a new driver.
I'm not sure Kirkhocker needs it. He's got the wiper going by accident there because he banged through turn number 3 so hard that he must have jerked his hand on the wheel. Easy to do that there.
Or was he fiddling, John?
No, he wasn't fiddling. That's one place you don't fiddle through, that part of the circuit. He's not quite as quick through the first sector, but the car is working well there. Oh, all the way to the exit of turn 9 and kicking off a little bit of a dust, and now dropping down the hill.
Oh,
Car
no.
620 has lost that last time. Last time has been disallowed, so he's back down to his 206.713. That was 19 and 20. Track limits there.
Just a little bit wide. It's easy to do. And as Nick Damon was saying earlier, if you have a swimming pool full of sharks there, perhaps then maybe you wouldn't go a little bit wide, but it means that the gap between first and second is next to nothing. 15 thousandths of a second remains. Mike Skeen can improve upon that.
Just coming down to halfway through the session here, still 28, nearly 29 minutes of the 45 to go. Skeen's in the pits, Westphal in third in the pits, fifth position, Borger in the pits, Mayer in sixth in the pits, also in the pits, Christodoulou, Edelhoff, Max Edelhoff in Car Collections Audi, number 34 is just going out again. Lucas Stoltz in the number 3 Black Falcon goes back out again. Let's go to Nick Damon down in the pit lane.
And it has got very, very busy here in the lane. The Glickenhaus cars have both been sitting on the apron for a while, actually. It looks like everyone is going to go out. They're now timing when their second outing will be. There's tyres being taken for the 85 Pro Sport in front of me, the number 3, the red Black Falcon car, which I was chatting to Joe a second ago. We're wondering if that's actually the Ram car. Because it is a Mercedes in that colour that Ram would normally paint their car or wrap their cars, that bright metallic burgundy. But
which is a colour I love, I have to say.
It's not really, Black Falcon colour, but we'll do some more investigation over the weekend. The 41 Ferrari is in front of me, lots of tyres there, and underneath comes the 620 Aston Martin coming in from the lead of the session. But there's people now are waiting to see what they can do when they go out again. But no one, as I'm looking down, has said, no, that's it. They're all just saying, we've got 20 more minutes, we'll pick our time. Track's cooling down, which should mean it's getting quicker in certain ways. So let's see what we can do.
Get a quick check-in with Joe Bradley in a little while as well. Meantime, in the 991 category, Trenton Estep has got down to a 212.743. That's a Porsche Cup car, let's not forget. Joe Bradley, what have you got for us?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the tyres that have come on Christodoulou's car. We can see, look at that beautiful melt all the way across the tyre tread. They've got that tyre absolutely working to perfection. You either see a really worn inner or outer edge. This is the inner edge, that's the outer edge, and that's really, really hot to touch. I'm burning my hand. They've got that tyre working to perfection. Look at that, right there to there. They've got across the full width of the tyre. The rubber on the face of the tyre has melted to perfection, and they're getting maximum grip. Don't discount Christodoulou, who's just gone back out in that 85 Mercedes.
Thank you, Joe. Joe Bradley. Meantime, in the fuel stop at the moment, Adam Christodoulou in the Pro Sport Mercedes. It's the red, white and blue car. Sits in 5th position in class at the moment, 7th overall. So as it stands at the moment, he would start from the inside of row 4 when we roll off to start the 24 hours of COTA, the Circuit of the Americas, in the Hankook Championship of the Continents for the 24-hour GT and TCE Series finales tomorrow. 78 out on the track at the moment. Lance Bergstein in the Speed Lover 991 Cup car. Now this is a 991 Cup car, but it's not running in the 991 category. It's running in SP2. 114 also out there at the moment, and just getting up to speed again. That is Baz Schoten in the GR Motorsports BMW SP2, leading its class.
The reason the 78 is not in the 991 Cup class is because it is a Generation 1 car, and the 2 that are in 991 are Gen 2 cars.
Okay, right.
So no escape hatch.
Yeah, slightly different aero on those cars as well. The 114 Baz Schoten GR Motorsports M3. This is the F80 M3, so a little bit older than the GT4 car, but with a huge honking rear diffuser on that car, and very snouty, this BMW, but has got that very distinctive, almost GT Le Mans vent in the front of the car. That car is fairly heavily worked on. and clearly making a lot of downforce. Track limits turn 12, 74. That is Trenton Estep, who's just come back into the pit lane. He's lost his fastest lap, so what does that put him back to then? That puts him back to the 13.1, so the 12.7 has been disallowed. That was turn 12. That's the end of the back straight.
So Trenton can come into the pit lane and either jump out and hand over to Mark Vame, a guy who's got a lot of racing experience, including the 24-hour last year, which I don't know if you remember this, John. At one point, Mark kept losing his headlights in the middle of the darkness because it kept flicking off on him, the poor guy. David Baker also shares that car, the man from Colleyville, Texas, just up the street. 2 times he's finished 3rd in the IMSA GT3 Cup Championship, and he was the Masters champ in 2017. And the other guy sharing that car, Alan Metney, the indoor skydiving man who won the Masters class in the IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge this year. Very capable drivers in that car. I want to see somebody else besides Fred Poordad stuck into the 91 Wright Motorsports machine, because Fred has driven this whole session to boot. Jan Halen's name hasn't been against that car yet.
No. Lucas Stoltz getting back up to speed in the green number 2 Black Falcon. It's team car. Mike Skeen is in fuel at the moment, and here comes Stoltz across the line. Interestingly, not with any headlights on that car. That's very unusual nowadays. Almost everyone has some kind of marker lights on, just grounding out as he breaks into turn 1. Car coming out the pits didn't bother him, doesn't use too much curb at the exit of turn 1. Now get yourself settled. This is where you really have to just take a deep breath and hold it. Through turn 2, on his way to turn 3 now. Just misses the apex of 3 for a moment, but drags it back to 4. How's he through 5? Not bad. Squares off 6 a little bit. Oh, nicely done. Gets the car gathered back up underneath him before he darts left for turn number 7 and now climbs towards 8. He's another one who favours going directly to the right-hand side of the road and hooking the red and white curb with his right-hand Hankooks through 9, now down to 10. Through that, he gives that a bit of a wide berth. Could take a little bit of that curb. Maybe he's got the car set up so that it's a little bit squirrely on the curbs. Didn't want to unsettle it coming down the hill there.
Oh, the windshield filthy already, though, and this is only qualifying. 22 minutes to go, John.
Best first sector of that car's session, halfway through, heading down the back straight now, looking straight into the sun. He's got a tinted visor on that he can just tilt his head down if necessary. Lucas Stoltz then for Black Falcon nails the braking point and turns in, unwinds the lock. As soon as you've got the car turned in there at the end of the back straight, you're coming off the steering and getting on the throttle, applying the pressure. You don't want to be spinning the wheels too much. You don't want the traction control slowing you down. You'll have wound the traction control right off for this session. You want to feel what the car is doing underneath him. Already through the hairpin at 15. Now to that long right-hander. How does he take it? Does he take a tight line through the Verstappen part? He does. Now lets the car breathe in the centre before dragging it back to the right-hand side of the circuit.
Good sector
through 19.
Too.
It's nice. He holds on to the track limits, I think there, brakes, all right at the dirt road, gets the car turned in, will run just to the edge of the circuit with his left-hand tyres, which is okay, and goes to P1. Lucas Stoltz then, by 0.4 of a second, the time was there, and that is his theoretical best time. All 3 sectors, the best, put together, the best for him. Not the best sectors out there. So, Shea, there is a faster lap out there if somebody can put it together. Oh, he's trying another one. Stoltz has not lifted off.
Well, no, because Adam Christodoulou, who's just completed Sector 1, went through with a much better Sector 1 time than Lucas Stoltz managed to accomplish on that fast lap. Luca has now improved this time through, but he has somebody right hot on his tail. And a couple other cars aren't done yet either, including that Aston Martin.
Kirchhoff with the fastest time of anyone in Sector 2. How could a car with that big a rear wing that's that quick through Sector 1 and 3 still be fast down the tubes? That's extraordinary. Kirchhoff then coming to the end of the lap. Has he got enough? He needs to find half a second here as he comes through out of that long right-hander. The headlights are flashing for traffic ahead through 19. Gets the car to the edge of the circuit, but no further. Both the cars ahead dive into the pit lane. That's a stroke of luck. Super late on the brakes.
Here he comes.
Across the line, does he improve? He's got a 2:06.713 at the moment, 2:05.
Wow.
2:05.7 and half a second deficit is turned into a half a second advantage. Aston Martin back to the top.
And that is a second and a half faster than that car went all day today. So that is a huge accomplishment for the entire R Motorsports team with their Aston Martin V12 Vantage.
And he's going to get absolutely mullered right in the middle of the S's by a slow-moving Lamera Cup car. And that will ruin the next lap for Kirchhofer. Moment or two ago, Edward Lewis Brown in the HB Racing Ferrari coming onto the back straight with a huge moment. Back end goes, front end goes, everything goes. Leave go the steering wheel. It's the only way he gets that one back.
Oh, close your eyes and pray that by the time you open them, they're facing back in the right direction and not a concrete block.
Wow, he was really lucky there. That was just over-enthusiastic application of the right foot to the right pedal.
Should also say that the 74 of Trenton Estep has not left the pit lane, still with the best time in the 911 class. And SP2 provisional pole sitter is the number 114, Baz Schuten, still with the fastest time.
Christodoulou improved for Pro Sports Mercedes last time around to a 2:07.6. He's less than a thousandth away. Check that, 100th away. Yeah, he's 95,000th away from Westphal in the SCG 003. But Borger, Antonin Borger has just improved. Or has he just lost that time? The 24's just dropped up to 3.
Lost the time.
Yes, 9 and 19.
Ooh.
So that's going over the top of the hill at 9 at the end of the S's. And the penultimate corner going off to both off to driver's right there. 911 trying to improve. Robert Renauer now behind the wheel of that Herbeth Motorsport car.
Yeah, that'll move up the charts a little bit with Robert behind the wheel. Very, very capable driver is Robert, and he's been doing quite a bit of racing in America this year. Circuit of the Americas is not one of those tracks that he's come back to since the victory 12 months ago.
So Christodoulou, 3rd in A6 AM, 5th overall. And there's been an improvement now. Somebody else has lost a time. Has Adam lost a time? 2:07.363. No, that was his. And he's about to improve again. Coming through, Robert Renard towards the end of the lap. Meantime, the 34, Max Edelhoff's just improved in the Audi. And he's up to 6th position. Christodoulou improves to 4th and goes ahead of the Lightspeed Racing SCG 003 Glickenhaus, which is still in the pits. Jeffrey Westphal's done the time in that car. Leading pair, the Aston and the Black Falcon Mercedes number 2, are in the pit lane.
Jan Halen has taken over the Wright Motorsports machine. That car is 2nd in the 911
You
category.
thought he might be given a go?
I thought he would, and first off, he has his track limits warning flash up because he went a little bit too far at turn 19. He was one that I thought Joe Bradley might have been talking to about, has anyone been pinged for track limits yet? But Jan Halen now told, go try and catch Trenton Estep. That's one gauntlet. That'll be interesting to see if it can be picked up. 16 and a half minutes to go. Aston Martin leads Mercedes, Scuderia Glickenhaus.
Joe Bradley is watching the two leaders, the number 2 Black Falcon Mercedes and the number 620 R Motorsport Aston Martin V8 Vantage.
Martin Kirchhofer might be on the pole position, but he's not going to sit back and watch him get taken from him. He's come in, he's put some sticker tyres on, brand new tyres. He's just rolled it left and gone out of the pits, turned straight left into the fueling area. He'll be taking on minimum fuel for a qualifying run. Let's see if he's got even more time in that Aston to consolidate what is the provisional pole.
I reckon around about a 5-lap run is optimum, maybe 6. You do 1 lap out, 1 flying lap to get some heat into the tyres. Your 2nd flyer, 3rd flyer and 4th flyer, those are the ones you're going to get the time on, and you just take what traffic's there.
And then checkered flag. Because there's not very much time left in the session. And whereas it starts out being casual with everybody saying, yeah, we have 45 minutes. Well, now they're all looking at the timing screen going, oh boy, we only have 15 minutes. Right, where's our hot shoe? Get in the car.
Yeah, absolutely right. Sun just getting close to dropping behind the skyline. It's pretty flat around here, just behind the airport on the south side of Austin. 34 Audi Max Edelhoff Car Collection Motorsport, the white and light blue car, looking pretty good through the S's. Pops out of the little bit of shadow back into the sunshine. Sun behind him now, so that's not an issue. Onto the back straight in 1 corner's time. Just diamonds off that corner a little bit. Sunshine just still in his eyes over the skyline as Jelmer Berman going quickly in the number 3, and Jan Helen doing good work as well. And wow, how close is that now? There's 1.2 seconds, can you believe that, between the 2 IMSA Racing Porsche teams at the top of the 991 class. But watch out for Jelmer Berman in that dark red AMG GT4. He's on the back straight now, Shea, and he's got the fastest first sector of anybody. He's under 27 seconds for the first sector.
Wow, that's a time that we've only seen done by one other car so far, and that is the pole sitter. So Jelmer Berman in that Mercedes. Overall best sector 1, personal best sector 2.
He's going to get a Lamara Cup, and Christophe Bouchou right in his eye line here as he comes. Christophe Bouchou, has he seen him? I'm not sure he has. Flash of the headlights, Bouchou working his own lap at the moment, and that's it, the lap's gone. Bouchou cuts right across the front of him through 15.
Yep.
And I do not think, by now he's forced him to the outside of the track. Bouchou's
seen him. Bouchou has seen him. That was pretty not admirable driving on the part of the Frenchman, I'm afraid. And Christophe Bouchou, who's won here in an LMP2 car back in the ILMS days, knows the circuit and knows where you can let other cars past.
Yeah, that lap has gone away.
Yep.
He might...
No, Sector 3 is going to be bad.
Yeah, it
52.7.
52, he's going to be steaming on that one. The 49 car with Frank Mayers just lost its last time around. That's the A6 Pro SCG 003C from SCG Scuderia Cameron Glickenhaus. So what has Jelmer Berman got in the tank? Well, he'll be wound up now, I'll tell you that. So it'll be red mist. Oh, a huge cut through turn 3. He was almost the wrong side of the curb and the pyramid curb there. There's no way that gets to stand. No way at all. And it's a 26.8 in the first sector. But man, if he'd been any further off the track, he would have had his pass check to get back in again. That's extraordinary.
Red mist for the red Mercedes, and even a shower of sparks as once again he comes up on the back of somebody diving into 11, flash of the headlights, and comes out onto the straight.
Again, the Rentec Motorsports Mercedes.
Yeah, Chapman knows to move over.
That's a GT4 car, remember that?
Yes.
Looks similar.
Catching somebody else up too by the time he gets into the braking area of 12. Not entirely sure who that is in front of him, but he's not catching. That's the 114.
It is the BMW number 114, Baz Schouten in the GR Motorsports SP2 class leading BMW, that heavily modified BMW. Now, has he seen him in 13? Sort of.
Yeah, but Jelmer had to get on the brakes there not to run into the side of the BMW. That'll have cost him a 10th or 2.
Yeah. More than that, actually. So Jelmer not getting the rub of the green as far as traffic's concerned. At least that means the stewards don't have to make the decision about that first part of the lap.
Yes, track limits for a slow lap. What? No, that won't be an issue. His theoretical best lap was a 2:05.9. So that means that the lap that he was on, had he been able to put together the best Sector 3 he's done, or the car has done, would have been good enough for second. Instead, he sits in third. So as it is right now, he would start the race behind the Aston Martin. It's not the worst thing in the world to be on the inside line.
No way, if he'd improved there, that lap would have been allowed to stand. Meantime, Martin Kirchhofer in the Aston Martin of which you speak. He's trying to find a bit of room as he comes down to turn number 11 and onto the back straight, which is now bathed in golden light as the sun is 10 minutes away from official sunset. Warming a bit of brakes up as well. It's a little bit of dust on the back straight there, but precious little tyre debris offline. Yeah. Really impressive. The Hankook standing up very well indeed. And this is not a high degradation circuit, a high wear circuit. So Kirchhofer then the white gloves behind the wheel of the 620 Aston Martin in that fabulous dark battleship grey with the blue accents. And that big rear wing sitting proudly above the roofline of that svelte coupe. This is still the original Vantage shape, of course. The new GT4 car and GT3 car making their debuts recently at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and we'll expect to see the GT4, the GT3 versions of the car in customer hands in the early part of 2019, including here in the States.
Saw one of the new street cars, by the way, last week at the Los Olas car show. Oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. It was gunmetal gray.
Yeah.
Oh, it was spectacular. Took a picture of it for you. Forgot about that until right now.
So Kirchhofer not improving. Bleekemolen. Jeroen Bleekemolen has been plugged into the Black Falcon number 2 with just under 10 minutes to go. Now, he's just finished his outlap. Half a second between first and second. If anyone knows how to get around here quickly, surely it's Bleekemolen, and that is the last roll of the dice for Black Falcon. One might expect Jelmer Bourbon didn't get the rub of the traffic when the tyres, the Hankook tyres, were at their best. And Kirchhofer still out there proudly with the red number 1 on the number display panel, the position display panel on the back of that Aston. He's wide at 9. 27 flat in the first sector. That's not bad.
Wow.
Remember, we've seen a couple of 26 9s and a 26.8, but that wouldn't have been legal. Now, he'll see that on his dash, so he'll know that he's there or thereabouts to improve. 2:05.774, the best so far.
And guess who's right behind him? That would be one Jay Bleekemolen. So we have our 2 fastest cars on the timing screen are line astern on the track, with enough room between the 2 of them that they should each be able to get fast flying laps.
2/10 down, Bleekemolen in the first sector, and 3/4 of a second back in sector 2. So Bleekemolen's not on a quick one.
Looking for space, I would say.
Christodoulou improved last time around to a 2:06.8. That keeps him in 4th position and just stretches his margin over the 24 SPS Mercedes. Aston Martin ahead of 4 Mercedes-Benz. And Aston now, of course, using the engine from Mercedes-Benz AMG in their new Vantage, but this is the mighty 6-litre V12 Vantage that's sitting out there. Now the number 2 of Jeroen Bleekemolen picks up the pace towards the end of the lap. He's going to go for it on the next one around.
He's going to be somebody to watch. 3 wins here at Circuit of the Americas 2014, 2015, and 2017. Jeroen Bleekemolen knows how to go quickly. He's going to try and catch that Aston Martin. A 2:06 flat for the Aston the last time around.
For Kirchhofer, that's not bad.
He's
warming up those tyres. This will be the one for the Aston and for the number 2. Meantime, the 24, Antonin Borger for Mercedes-Benz. He's on the back straight, but not looking to improve as far as the timing screen says at the moment. Lightspeed Racing, Jeff Westphal pulling out a decent early part of the lap, and Christodoulou also picking up pace in the middle sector. Both, in fact, Frank Mayer. Oh no, Frank Mayer's in the pits. Don't get too excited, John. That's just showing his fastest time there.
But do get excited over what the Aston Martin just did at 26.8 through Sector 1. That is the fastest we've seen today.
And I wonder if he did that without going off the track.
We'll find out. TBD as Bleekemolen goes.
Berman couldn't do that time without cutting turn number 3 and 4. So we'll have to see what the Aston does. Meantime, the other great car out there at the moment is the 24. That is Antonin Borger for SPS Automotive Performance. Mercedes-Benz still looking to steal back. They'll be absolutely gutted. Mercedes AMG will be gutted if the V12 Vantage beats them to pole position. They've got a squadron of their cars here in GT3. Remember, they were testing this car here last year. It's 1 year on, and they want pole position.
They've got Bleekemolen, Berman, Christodoulou, and Borga going for a pole position. But right now, the only Mercedes that's in the top 3 is Jeroen Bleekemolen, because Jeff Westphal jumps up to 3rd in the Lightspeed Racing Scuderia Glickenhaus. Great lap from him, a 2:06.715. That means our top 4 are within a second.
Kirchhofer held up in the middle sector, 48.1, nowhere near quick enough there.
Oh, track limits for Jeff Westphal. His time was disallowed, so the Glickenhaus drops back down.
And that's turn 4 and 19. Turn 4 is the part of the S's where you can make time by straddling. You've got to be absolutely certain you're not going to ground out anything underneath the engine. Here comes the Aston Martin again, down through turn 2. Big wiggle on there. He's on a push again. Here comes Kirchhofer. That was clean. Clean through 3 and 4 and 5. Now he's into 6. Got to get the front end turned in here. We just trail the brake. Yes, lovely. Does that perfectly well. Little dab of the brakes. Down to third gear for the left-hander at 7. Steers across the right-hand side of the road. Oh, he's off the track. He's off the track at 8. That's not going to be allowed to stand either. Had all 4 tyres across the line. The Hankooks were across the white line at the edge of the back, at the edge of the track. I don't think this will be allowed to stand at 26.9 in the first sector, but it's the second sector. I reckon that he was slightly over track limits at turn 8.
Under 4 minutes remaining in this session. Sector 1 was not a great time for Bleekemolen as the sun is just showering Circuit of the Americas in picturesque glory. It is golden orange out there on the back straight, and that is a section of track where Kirchhofer has already made himself clear of. He's now heading into the Tower complex of corners. This will not be an improvement though. Sector 1, a 26.9. Sector 2, a 48.1. I think Bleekemolen's given up, John, because his first sector was 2 seconds off.
I'm sorry, there's something wrong with my headset. I thought you said Bleekemolen's given up.
I think he has. I think he's acknowledged the fact that he's going to be on the front row for the start of the 24 hours tomorrow, but it's not going to be on the prime line. He was 3 seconds down in Sector 2 alone. Either he's backing off to try and have one more go at this, or Giron has acknowledged that the Aston Martin power is supreme, and that is exactly what Marvin Kirchhofer has done as he dives into the pit lane. Provisional pole position, car number 620, comes by at 60 clicks.
Your thoughts, please, on @RSL_studio on Twitter as we come to the end of qualifying with night practice still to go here. And the spectacle of seeing these cars running at speed during the night. The Glickenhaus, this is the 704 of Westphal I'm talking about, the Lightspeed Racing yellow car. At the moment, second in class. He's on the back straight at the moment.
Come on, Jeff. The top 3 in front of him.
He's got
already
one more
pitted.
lap if he gets a wiggle on.
Oh, he will. This is Jeff Westphal we're talking about. When does he not have a wiggle going on?
True enough. So top 3 are in the pit lane. Jelmer Berman will be no better than third for the number 3 Black Falcon Mercedes AMG GT3 with a 2:06.7. A theoretical best time for that car of a 2:05.9, but we know Berman cut the... Oh.
You touched it and it broke.
I did touch it and it broke.
Stop touching.
That's a bit scary. In second place, no better than second for Jerome Bleekemolen for the number 2 Black Falcon Mercedes. 2:06.313, 2:06.1 his theoretical best time. 2:05.7 for Kirchhofer with a 2:05.6 as the best theoretical time for the Aston. So he's not left much on the track in terms of his best sectors, and it was only that questionable first sector, I think, that was better than what he has been credited with. Into the pit lane for Westphal. There'll be no improvement. So the top 4 will not improve. Make that the top 5 as Krista Dulu's in the pits as well. A6 AM Pro, A6 AM car leading the pros. The best of the A6 pros, Bleekemolen. They have the first row at the moment. The 991 provisional pole position going to Wright Motorsports ahead of JDX Racing by over a second. 1.2 seconds between those two IMSA competitors.
In SP2, it's the Lamera Cup with another pole position, this time going the way of Christophe Bouchou.
Yeah, good point. 2 poles for the 2 Lamaras in separate classes.
And in GT4, hello, Kyle Marcelli for Rentec Motorsport, the car that was late going out to the practice session because it was in a billion little pieces in the garage, can say right now, provisional pole position.
And with 20 seconds to go, and most of the cars behind him, other than the classic BMW of Jason Hart, in the pit lane in GT4. That is a steal right at the end for Marcelli. 2:16.5. 16.5 for a GT4 car. That's impressive. Christian Hohenadel had been out there in the Winwood Racing HTP Motorsport, but didn't improve the 2:17.4. Checkered flag is out. Borger is out there. He's not going to improve on the 24 car as he comes round to the end of the lap. Borger is out of it. And I think we'll see him as he comes through 19 now. Will he complete the lap? He'll have it on his dashboard about whether he's going to improve. Well, he's going to stay out, so he must think he's got a lap that might be able to pit Christodoulou here. He's only got to find a 1/10 of a second. The checkered flag is out. He will be the first driver to see it. Does the 24 car improve? He does! Oh. So he swaps sides on the grid with Adam Christodoulou. That's why Antonin Borger stayed out. Let's head down to Joe Bradley for our overall pole sitter. Mercedes came, they expected with the numbers they had to look out the front of the grid. They've only got 2 cars in the top 4. Aston Martin take pole position.
Well, it might have been a bit tense behind this man, but Marvin Kirchhofer. Marvin, firstly, congratulations on pole position.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a good lap, I think. And yeah, pretty happy about the result, of course.
I saw you come in and put new tyres on. Did you think there was any more time in the car?
Well, we gave it a try. We had the opportunity to do so, to do one more set, but it was really hard to improve the lap time on the second run, so yeah.
So, qualifying's one thing. It's going to be, we've effectively got 2 long races over 24 hours. What's the Aston Martin like over a race distance?
Well, we've been really successful this year in the Blancpain Endurance. We've shown that we have the pace in the car even for an endurance race. First of all, yeah, that's just a baseline for tomorrow. And of course, for Sunday, it's a long race, so a lot of things can happen, but we gave it all.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to seeing you on the grid tomorrow on the pole position. Marvin Kirchhofer.
And just about a couple of garages down with Baz shouting from the 114 BMW, the SP2 pole. Baz, nice run.
No, I have not the pole.
That's
Lamerick Cup.
You need to look at the Nick. Look at the timing the whole time. Well done for coming second.
Yeah, second. But I took 1/10 of a second of the pole, so yeah, that's not the result we hope. But the car is good and ready for the race.
Baz, thank you very much. That went well.
Let's take a look at what at how the grid will line up tomorrow. It's Aston Martin on pole position from a couple of Mercedes-Benz, the 2 black Falcon cars. In 3rd place, the second of the black Falcon. Then the Lightspeed Racing SCG. That's the second best of the AM cars. The AM cars doing really, really well with their pro drivers qualifying. And look at 9th position, the 8th position, excuse me, for Car Collection Motorsport. Herbert pulling themselves up to 7th. And HB Racing Ferrari in 9th, and the second Scuderia Cameron Glickenhaus in 10th position. Snip back to Joe Bradley after we've had a look at the next rundown. Wright Motorsports and JDX Racing had a great battle for the 991 Cup class. Went to the number 91 car in the end. Lamera Cup taking their second pole of the afternoon, taking SP2, and in GT4 Rentec Motorsports right at the end, Kyle Marcelli taking a wonderful pole position in GT4 ahead of Winwood Racing and the Speed Lover in the Porsche number 78 in SP2 second, and VDS Racing Adventures in 3rd. Let's head back to the pit lane and Jeroen Bleekemolen.
Jeroen. Exciting qualifying session. Were you aware of just how tight and what a fight that was?
Yeah, no, it's great. It shows how close everything is, and it's going to be a long 24 hours for sure, with a couple of really strong cars and lineups and teams. So it's great. That's what we're here for, and hopefully we can come out on top.
Jeroen, we're going to have a very mixed race. We're going to start in 25-degree sunshine. We're going to go down to 5 degrees when it gets dark. And then on Sunday, when we finish the race, we've even got a forecast of wet weather. How much effect, if any, is that going to have over the race result, do you think?
Oh, it will do a lot. I've raced here a lot. I've already been here twice this year, but I haven't felt it so cold here at night. So this will be very special going into the dark with the really cold temperatures. But then, yeah, also the rain Sunday could totally mix things up. We haven't had any practice in the rain, so nobody really knows what to do on tire pressures and setup and stuff like that. No rain line experience, so it will be interesting to see what happens once the rain comes from the sky.
Now, knowing you as I do, you went in the car pretty late on in that session. Do you think that was the optimum time, or do you think when it was a little bit warmer out there might have been better for you?
No, right at the end would have been the time. We didn't take new tires anymore. The Aston did 3 sets of tires, and Luca only did 1 set, and then I still had to do my 2 laps, so we stayed on them. But at the end, it was a bit easier with the sun, so I could do a pretty decent time, but I think to beat them would have been tough. They're really quick. They were flying. And yeah, they did 3 attempts, which is a lot.
Jeroen, can I ask you? This is a very difficult track, but it seems it's very difficult to stay within the track limits. We saw people putting in fast times; they then disappeared because of track limits. How much more time is there when you can just, if you were let loose and were able to go all over the curbs? Do you think it would make a massive difference? How many seconds?
Well, actually, we've raced here with IMSA and WEC at the same time, and in IMSA we were allowed to go all out. We could just completely ignore everything. We were outside of the TV screens most of the time, but the racing was great. And I'd reckon it's like 1.5 seconds. And yeah, the difficulty now is even if you make a mistake, which can happen to anyone at any time, and you just miss it, and you just go over the line, even if you lose time, there's 1 dot behind your name for another violation. So it's really tough. It's you're driving very careful not to make this mistake. It's more about that than pushing too hard, really.
Jeroen, great to talk to you. We'll see you on the grid tomorrow.
Thank you.
And with the GT4 pole sitter, it's the 890 Mercedes and Kyle Marcelli. Kyle, that was a big battle in GT4.
Yeah, you know, we showed up this weekend with, I wouldn't say too high of expectations. For me, the car is new, the tire's new, the series is new. You know, for the team, this is their first race, and it's a big one, you know, a 24-hour race for your first time. But I saw early on in the weekend the preparation that this team had and the way they interacted, and very smooth operation for the first time out. The Mercedes is a lot of fun to drive, and it's been fun getting together again with the Ducati family. I co-drove with them several years ago in the American Le Mans series, and so we've got the band back together again. And to get the pole position is a huge testament to the team's effort, and really satisfied for it.
Oh, well done, thank you.
Nick Damon wrapping up our coverage here from the Circuit of the Americas for the Hankook 24 Hours of COTA. Night practice is next. Final thoughts from you, Shea, on that qualifying session. Lamera Cup, I think, the guys who are going to be celebrating in this break.
Yeah, well, for the hour-and-a-half dinner break, they'll definitely be getting an extra portion of whatever it is that they choose to eat. But they should be proud of their accomplishments, especially stealing the TCR pole away from them.
Oh, yeah, I think they'd be very, very happy with that. Kirchhofer in the Aston Martin ahead of the Mercedes. And with the Jeffrey Westphal in the Lightspeed Racing SCG breaking it up as well. Stay with us. Later on this evening, we'll be back at just before 7 o'clock local time. It'll be full dark by then, and it's all live here from the Circuit of the Americas.